Second to go. The players started at 11 a.m. local time. That was 9.5 hours ago. What do they have left in tank? But Fabi, he seems unstoppable today. Comebacks and taking the lead now. And on the other side, Hans Niman, he means business in Vegas. He's here to prove a point.
Away we go. And right away, there's a difference from move one. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, it's Prag Sindarov with the white pieces needing a win. He's going to go for that pawn in front of his dark-squared bishop on the third file in from the left. Counter to what Niman is doing. He's going to go for that D pawn, 4 files in from the left-hand side, so a little bit more towards the center of the board. Right away, these two games are not going to look similar.
And here we go, Sindarov on that right board already indicating his intentions of going on the attack. He pushed a pawn in front of his rook. Unlikely we'll see castling now on the next few turns for either side, since the pawns have been pushed forward. And for Hans Niman, I think symmetry makes a lot of sense. And just because the draw is enough for him, so he doesn't want to take too much risk. He doesn't need to be the one pressing. I was going to say, for Sindarov, he wants to break the symmetry, hence that last trade. Bishop for knight, and he will hope that at least a little bit of imbalance, a pawn structure in this case, is sufficient for him to create some winning chances later down the line.
And he plants his bishop on a nice spot. Now that the white pawn formation has been destroyed, there's no pawn that's going to kick that bishop out. So I like that approach by Sindarov. In a must-win situation, you're looking for those early imbalances. And let's remind everyone, this is the final blitz game for tonight, right? If a player makes a comeback, if Prag Sindarov or Sindarov win their game, we will have an Armageddon. We will have a winner go through into the semifinals.
And honestly, how could we not after the day we've had? Connect 4 is found here for Sindarov with the black pieces, but that knight made the long trek all the way across the board just to remove what was a very strong bishop position there for Sindarov. So Niman definitely not wanting to let his opponent hold on to that piece.
I know I joke about Connect 4 a lot, but every time it's played, it's given an exclamation mark, and every time someone allows it, their eval just drops. Hans Niman was actually a lot better before he allowed that pawn to push. Suddenly the white bishop in the light squared bishop in the corner here, just staring bluntly at a pawn.
It's
the
also
knights love it.
Beautiful space advantage that it creates, right? Because to get a Connect 4 in chess, it means that you have to push the pawn on the other half of the court here. And that's what he's done with that e-pawn. So looking good for black. He will improve the position of his knight. The double bishops, they're only as powerful as the open diagonals that they have. The light squared bishop has none in this position.
And I think the pawn chain made even more effective by the fact that Sindarov already baited that f-pawn for the capture over to the g file, right? So again, I can't attack the head of this pawn chain with my own pawns. At this point, it's going to be really hard to undermine that structure.
Yeah, strategically, that was a very questionable decision by Hans Niman. That being said, bishops do come to life a bit later in the game, so as long as he doesn't get knocked out immediately, doesn't facing any direct attack with white and stabilizes, he will have chances later in the game.
A minute off the clock for both of these players. Let's check in with Fabiano Caruana and Prag Sindarov. Remember, it's Prag Sindarov who, for the first time today, has to fight back against Fabiano, who holds the point advantage over him. And as we get here, you can see Fabiano is looking good, at least by the evaluation. Very different board makeup, though, overall.
And this is a tournament scenario that I think Prag is just not used to, right? A must-win game for him right now. He pushes Fabi's knight back, but that means he blocks his own bishop on that b1 square, the light squared bishop. He'll have to find a brighter future for that. It's hard to see it. Meanwhile, Fabi with a beautiful pawn center, a knight behind a pawn. Freestyle chess has taught us that that's really how you want it, controlling so much of the board. Where will Prag create his chances? A slow move on the left flank.
Oh, that's sad. To have to play a slow move like that, very time-consuming. Fabiano improves a knight in the meantime. Just looks beautiful for black. Very hard to know what to chip away at if you're Prag Sindarov. What to do, how to strike. He moves his bishop across. That was actually the ulterior motive behind his last move, but easily blunted by black's bishop developing. Fabi's just playing easy, logical chess, and he knows that's enough for now to solidify. He doesn't even need to go for the attack with black. A draw is sufficient.
And Prag now going to scoot his knight out of the way of that light squared bishop just to open the scope of it a little bit. But even still, now, of course, his dark squared bishop is going to have a little bit more trouble. Yep, sliding up just like that onto the b2 square. So solid diagonals if he can hold them for later into the game when they become longer sight lines. But I think that's the question. He's got 0 center control right now.
Connect 4, Tanya. You're going to say it.
Give us the exclamation point.
I think it's about to happen. It looks like a beautiful move as well, right? Just blunting that a dark squad bishop even further. Fabi first sets up a battery, lines up. I'm going to point out one dynamic in this position. The players need to set up getting that castle in, right? With these H-pawns that have moved forward, they are a bit of target, so you have to time that well. Right now, first Fabi decides to reroute that knight, opening up the queen to defend the pawn so that eventually he can get that castle in.
Yeah, might be here and now. He was about to reach out. Fabiano, very healthy on the clock. There we go. He lifts his, he touches his king and lifts the rook over. The king stays on the same square though. Everything for black is very nicely centralized, nicely defended. White lacking space.
Let's go back to the other board. I see a double question mark out on the table, and this is after Prag Sindarov had found a pretty solid advantage, but just like that, that advantage disappears and even starts to slowly creep in the other direction.
Wow, he's hung a pawn. Is that the issue? This pawn was previously defended by the black queen, the knight now in the way. Unless he has a trick here, Tanya, that I'm struggling to see. It just looks like a bit of a miss here.
There are some knight jumps that one needs to calculate, but I agree with you. It looks like none of them are working out. Hans, is he going to take the bait? Will he call the bluff on this one, or has he spotted something better? I think after queen takes pawn, you're looking at ideas like the knight coming in to a juicy square with some forks, but white will have a trade. And at the end of this, as we see, in fact, the bar does say that it will be Sindarov on the edge. But what's...
Oh, it's this move that he's missed. Attacking a rook, attacking a knight, double attack. And has Hans Niman found this?
That's the big question. If he takes the pawn, then he has. He still hasn't made his decision. Sindarov puts a trap, but is he about to get trapped himself right now?
Oh, that's so sneaky. If he takes this pawn, Hans Niman, I think he's just going to win. Either you're a pawn up, or your opponent blunders immediately. He reaches for it. Key moment.
Wow, he goes for it.
He spotted the double attack. Oh my goodness, this is the moment.
Okay.
Is Hans Niman about to go into the semifinals?
Yes, I mean, he slides that queen up.
Whoa, what a find. Hits the rook, hits the knight. This is game over. This is match over.
Well, we've said game over before, so I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We saw how many times the script flipped in that Fabiano versus Prag Sindarov game when it was coming down the stretch. But this is a definite advantage here for Hans Niman. And now Sindarov, I think, a bit lost now for an answer, as maybe this was the one thing he overlooked when he thought he was the one laying the trap himself.
Yeah, when you go for tactics, you have to be 100% sure all the forcing moves are covered. And unfortunately, checks captured the threats. He forgot the threats, the double attacks. And Hans Niman, that is genius, just spotting that. Note this self-control. He spent 30 seconds, a minute, Hans Niman, and then he went for the sequence. And yeah, black's pieces are just all hanging. He's about to go down a full piece.
And it's clear with Prag slowing down at this moment that this is exactly what he missed in the position. He calculated the line through. He saw what happens at the end of that queen trade. Happy with that. We saw the bar approve of that calculation. But now it's clear on his face and the camera that we're seeing right now that this was the big miss and the big spot.
Yeah, Hans hits him with the call an ambulance, but not for me moment of the game. There it is. He's going to go ahead and trade off the knight for the bishop, but the queen dives in, picks up the rook. The knight has to drop back to defend the king, obviously, as it is a check.
Just watch out, the bishop at the edge of the board is under attack.
You can close the knight's escape route, though, by dropping the white bishop back, and the black knight isn't able to retreat. It's going to be kind of stuck behind enemy lines on its own for the rest of the game. So that looks very logical. Hans Niman might be thinking of bringing the bishop to other squares. He can advance it as well. Instead, he offers to trade queens.
Well, Hans needs only a draw to wrap up this match as well, so perhaps more of a professional and a practical decision. He gives up the bishop, trades, and Hans Niman, he's finding all the tactics. He now jumps when...
Look at this, Hans Niman, he castles his king.
Whoa.
Wow.
Unbelievable stuff. The knight is trapped. He's about to win that knight by stepping up the king one step forward. And he's calculated this in seconds.
Traps the knight and connects his rooks at the same time.
What is
there
this?
It is.
What is this performance by Hans Niman?
Wow.
How is he...
Whoa, wait a second, though.
Wait a second, he's allowing the other black knight forward, and that black knight now knows that two rooks are within forking distance.
It's not over till it's over.
Why would he not just continue with his plan?
Just take the knight. Like,
well, maybe he thought it was always there, right?
Ooh, and
okay.
It was there in the end.
Okay.
Javokir missing an opportunity. Feels like a couple of double attacks. That's his blind spot so far in this game, Javokir.
I mean, it is the 10th hour of play for both these players as well, so we can't expect a mix of that happening. Now it is a rook versus knight dynamic. It's an extra exchange for Hans Niman, and he needs only a draw.
It was a rook versus knight dynamic earlier in the day as well.
This is true.
Dash pointed out there were opportunities for the knight, and the black knight is very, very strong. So not over, although Hans a big, big favorite.
I'm going to point out a path that Hans's king has up the board. King of the hill can be played on the dark squares, start targeting all those light square weaknesses, and who's going to defend those pawns?
And he sees it as well. Javokir is going to try and shut that opportunity down by sliding up his A pawn. King can't advance any further just yet.
And actually, how do you improve the position of your pieces? It might be time to slide over the rook to that A line. You have to calculate what happens with all the swaps of the pawns. And he does it. He goes for the idea. He wants to give up the H pawn to try to grab that A pawn and bring the rook into activity. I like it, David.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And in the meantime, as Hans tries to press the advantage, looking like he's getting excited now, shifting in his seat, big clock advantage. It looks like Fabi doing very well on the other board. Here we go. Pawns being traded, though, meanwhile, on this one.
Yeah, we'll keep you apprised of the other board. Don't worry, we have eyes on it. But yeah, Fabi looking good. And actually, Prag down to 8 seconds. So this is a good time to jump, just to check in on it real quick. You can see here, evaluation bar completely level, but that's all Fabiano needs. So again, the pressure is on Prag here to make the moves that are going to blow open the position.
Yeah, but things are happening. Fabi has lost a bit of control, and there were some tactics in the last position. Just to mention, the white bishop could have taken a pawn as the black queen was overloaded defending her own bishop. Missed opportunity for Pragnananda, but Fabi, how are his nerves after that last crazy encounter?
But there are going to be tons of missed opportunities with just 4 seconds on the clock. How do you even find the right path forward when the whole board is on fire? Look at the amount of pieces that are hanging, the white rook hanging, the white knight can be picked up with a skewer attacking the queen and the other rook on the board.
Oh, he takes with the pawn, Fabiano. I thought he would take with the bishop there, the bishop hanging in midair there. But Fabiano, he is up material. He's up a rook for bishop and pawn right now. But the white bishops are very strong, and the black pawn's very, very weak, all isolated. This one is still anyone's game.
It's inching ever closer. There for Prag, look at that. Just above the halfway point for him. But again, he's working with 8 seconds, 10 seconds now, dipping below into the single digits is Fabi. We're back over to the Hans Niman and Javokir board on your, in terms of the live viewing, what you're seeing. Bottom right-hand corner, we'll switch just so we can update you on that board.
Again, the rooks beating the knights. Although there are some knight forks in the air, it does feel like trading things off with a draw insufficient here for Hans Niman. He should be safe.
Yeah, we got to go back, though, because now Pragnananda is well advantaged in his game all of a sudden. So as we go back, take a look at this. The eval bar likes his position, but again, both players are working with 5 seconds on their clock right now.
He's just playing barely on increment right now. It is the power bishops, but can he get the job done? He moves ahead with the king. Look at the 3 beautiful pawns on the right side of the board. They've got to march up the board, protected, assisted by those bishops. He first brings the rook back.
Prag, he's looked so good all day. He's been the one who's kind of taking it to Fabiano up until this very, most recent match. But now when the shoe's on the other foot, the pressure's on for the youngster to get the full decisive victory. The computer loves his position. It's giving him a full winning advantage. But can he bring it to a conclusion?
Oh, he's winning. Pragnananda so close. Look at that.
Fabi handshakes.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. We're going to Armageddon. Pragnananda versus Fabiano Caruana.
What a match. Unbelievable. Goes down to the Armageddon after 2:30 plus 30, after 2:10 plus 10, after 2:5 plus 2. It will be an Armageddon, and Hans Niman gets the job done.
Yeah, as we pan to the other board, you'll see again the handshakes extended. Hans will pick up his hot pink jacket as he moves to 4 points to 2 in the overall score line, winning the tiebreaker. He's headed to the semifinals.
Wow, great game by Hans Niman. Some incredible moves, including castling queenside when all of us had forgotten it was legal. Some really genius play and closed out nicely. Prag, meanwhile, wow, his nerves held out so strong in that second encounter. From a position of weakness, he managed to outplay Fabiano.
And that's not a feat, not an achievement many